Welcome back, gearheads, to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. Today, we're shifting gears into the high-octane world of global trade, where U.S. protectionism is throwing more than just a wrench in the works. It's revving up rivalries and sparking realignments across continents. Much like a finely tuned engine, international politics requires every component to work in harmony. We'll break down the unfolding drama in 7 key chapters, each dissecting a strategic maneuver that's reshaping alliances and trade routes worldwide. Let's fire up our analytical engines and dive right in. Number 7. Greenland and the Arctic Gambit, U.S. ambitions and European defense. In a bold geopolitical maneuver, President Trump's administration has set its sights on Greenland, a remote yet critical Arctic region. Hints of purchasing the territory and even military intervention have rattled European leaders, with Denmark spearheading a robust defensive response. To counter U.S. ambitions, European nations are ramping up Arctic defenses by deploying new naval vessels, advanced drones, and enhanced satellite systems. This strategy goes beyond territorial expansion. It aims to secure emerging Arctic trade routes and vital energy supplies in a changing climate. Meanwhile, Greenland's leadership remains firm on self-determination, rejecting any notion of becoming a U.S. satellite. Analysts believe that this high-stakes move could reshape global trade and power balances, signaling a new era in Arctic geopolitics. Number 6. Tariff Overdrive, U.S. protectionism's global impact. President Trump's tariff strategy, starting at 2.5% and potentially climbing to 20%, is more than an economic adjustment. It's a bold political maneuver to boost domestic production and reset global trade rules. Initially targeting imports like computer chips, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals, these tariffs have quickly escalated, impacting long-standing allies such as Canada, Mexico, and China. The resulting shockwaves are disrupting global supply chains, increasing production costs, and straining industries like automotive manufacturing. In response, affected nations are coordinating countermeasures, favoring diplomatic negotiations over tit-for-tat retaliations. Critics warn that persistent protectionism may fragment the global market and stifle innovation, ultimately paving the way for a more multipolar and potentially unstable economic landscape. Number 5. Canada's rally, North American unity revving against U.S. tariff surge. Facing President Trump's tariff storm, Canada has become a leading critic and proactive responder. On the U.S. administration's inauguration day, a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico rattled the North American alliance. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warned that these tariffs would hurt both the Canadian economy and American consumers. In response, Canada isn't merely imposing counter-tariffs. It's forging international partnerships with the EU, Denmark, Mexico, and others to build a united front against U.S. overreach. With North American supply chains deeply interconnected, Canadian industries are pushing to diversify trade relationships to mitigate rising production costs. This coordinated diplomatic and economic strategy signals that unilateral policies are met with collective resistance, reinforcing the idea that regional solidarity is crucial in safeguarding shared economic prosperity. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now let's shift gears and steer towards our next point. Number 4. EU's economic resilience, trade deals and diversification strategy. Facing escalating U.S. protectionism, the EU is fortifying its economic defenses by broadening its trade horizons. It has swiftly modernized key agreements and ventured beyond traditional partners. A refreshed pact with Mexico now eliminates tariffs on staple exports. Think cheese, wine, and pasta, boosting the agri-food sector while cutting reliance on U.S. markets. Simultaneously, the bloc is advancing a landmark free trade deal with Mercosur nations, Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay, and Uruguay, that promises to open vast markets and secure critical raw materials. This diversification not only safeguards European industries against supply chain shocks, but also reinforces its competitive edge in high-tech and automotive manufacturing. By recalibrating its trade strategy, the EU is carving out a path to greater economic autonomy and resilience in a volatile global landscape. Number 3. The EU-Mercosur and EU-Mexico trade revolution, redefining global alliances. Under mounting U.S. tariff pressures, the EU is leading a bold trade revolution that reconfigures global alliances. The updated EU-Mexico trade agreement, finalized on January 17, 2025, slashes tariffs on a wide array of exports, from luxury agricultural goods to sophisticated industrial products, providing EU businesses with unprecedented market access. In tandem, after 25 years of protracted negotiations, the EU-Mercosur Accord is poised to create one of the world's largest free trade zones by eliminating tariffs on over 90% of goods. These transformative deals not only diminish U.S. economic leverage, but also strengthen bonds with key partners in the Americas, heralding a shift toward a more multipolar and sustainable global trade order. Number 2. Transatlantic Rewind, evolving legacies in U.S.-Europe relations. The deep-rooted U.S.-Europe alliance, forged in the aftermath of World War II through the Marshall Plan and early collaborations like the European Coal and Steel Community, enabled Europe's recovery and long-term security, exemplified by NATO and the Truman Doctrine during the Cold War. However, recent U.S. protectionism and unilateral tariffs have strained this historic bond, prompting European nations to re-examine their dependencies. Facing modern economic disruptions and shifting global powers, Europe is diversifying its trade partnerships and modernizing agreements to reduce reliance on American policies. Historical crises remind us that even enduring alliances can be tested. Today, Europe leverages its legacy to forge a more resilient and autonomous future in international trade and security. Number 1. The road to retaliation, global economic realignment and the future of trade. U.S. tariffs are triggering a seismic shift in global commerce. Disrupted supply chains and rising costs, especially in automotive manufacturing, are forcing nations to rethink their economic strategies. In response, the EU, Canada, and other partners are modernizing trade agreements, forging new alliances, and investing in domestic production to reduce reliance on U.S. policies. Deals with Mexico and Mercosur exemplify a move toward multilateralism and shared economic sovereignty. This coordinated backlash is not just a short-term reaction, but the start of a fundamental transformation in international trade. As nations diversify and innovate, the global economy is poised to evolve into a more resilient, multipolar system built on cooperation and sustainable growth. Clearly, this shift is truly pivotal. Final verdict: the global trade crossroads. In wrapping up, the ongoing saga of U.S. tariffs and the strategic countermeasures from the EU, Canada, and other global players mark a turning point in international trade relations. These transformative deals and historical shifts are redefining alliances and setting the stage for a future where economic resilience and diversification drive global progress. What do you think about these sweeping changes in global trade? Will this new multipolar order pave the way for smoother roads ahead, or is a bumpy ride still in store? Drop your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. By the way, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss our next vehicle updates and upcoming videos from Piston Pundit. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.